Hello, this is Professor Kim Nelson with the Jewelry Design Department at the Fast Institute of Technology. It's another video in the series of videos for 3D modeling in Rhino. This video is for the review ring project for JD237. The initial stages, which will be taking the drawing, bringing in the reference material, creating a drawing, and then modeling up until you have a good basic maquette. So the first step is to bring in an image. So if you go to our website, and under Content, Week 1, you will find our image. If you save image as, you can put that on your desktop. And then if you go into Rhino, I like to put my reference images to begin on the top viewport. I'm going to go ahead and type in a picture frame. And then look for the file. And just drag a window, first click, second click off to the right, hold Shift key to get it to be oriented in ortho, and click. It doesn't matter the size. Move this down roughly in the middle so that the top view is roughly in the middle. Also going to put it on a layer I don't normally use much. I'll put it on the 3D2 layer. By the way, what I did there was a shortcut you didn't see me do. It's Control D. To change layer with my settings is Control D, and that'll bring up that dialog. If you don't have that set up, you would have to come to Edit, or actually Transform, and actually it's going to be under Edit. Edit Layers, Change Object Layer. But that's very lengthy. Just use the settings and it's Control D. I want to set this so that I can see through it to work more effectively with it. So I'm going to go to the Object Properties tab. Here you'll see what layer it's on and the general information about this object, this geometry. But if you hit the Material tab, it'll give you the material settings. We're going to come into the Transparency slider and move that to around 80%. Go back to Layers and Lock. Alright, so my drawing is in. The scale is random and that's not important right now. I'm going to bracket this so I can center it, this top view. So I'm going to draw a straight line, both sides, ortho, up and down, and draw another line, both sides, ortho, using the Shift key, horizontally. And I'm going to offset these curves through point both sides to roughly bracket this. You can see that this is about as far from this edge as that is from that. Same thing going the other way. Okay. Unlock my picture frame. Click it to select it and M-Enter move. I'm going to move in two steps, one horizontal, one vertical. So move from point, first click, to point, second click, I'm holding Shift key down. And again, repeat command, hitting spacebar, moving vertical, using Shift key. And that's good enough. Go ahead and trim that up. Alright, I'm going to give myself a few other demarcations, but first I'm going to draw the outline of my top view. To do that, I'm going to do fillet, set it to 0, and then edge, horizontal center, and top, vertical center. I'm going to do a blend curve in between those on a different colored layer. Curve, blend curve, adjustable blend. And adjust this until I get something very close to what I have here. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Actually, I can just delete this because I will use this curve right here as the parent for the next blend. Do a blend curve on the other side. Adjustable blend curve. If I've recently used the command, I'll pull it from the command line. You should be familiar with that. Notice when you're doing an adjustable blend curve, the lower handle has the more powerful impact. The further out handle is for subtle changes. Okay, there we go. And I can delete the rest of this frame. And now I'm going to mirror these around, side to side, and top to bottom. And then I'm going to compare them. Somehow I missed one of the red ones. There we go. So here's the red frame, and here's the dark blue. Oh, one of those last mirroring stages didn't take. There we go. And I can compare these, both for how well they follow the drawing and for how much I like the shape that they make, because that's valid also. I think I'm going to do one more. I'm going to explode this one. Do a blend curve again from the bottom to the side here. Because I'm finding that it looks like what is really working is in between. And I think that's good. And I'll mirror that around. Bottom to top. Right to left. Join that together. And take a look at what I've got. I think that is the only place that's really off is up here in this corner, and that's fine. That's just a camera angle issue. So I will delete the other sketches that I made, and that'll be the top view outline. Going to offset that curve to create this interior area, and this is going to, it gives me a fairly unfortunate looking shape, but I think that's a good balance. It's a little further in, a little further out. Yeah, that's okay. So I will trim, once again, this corner out. Actually, I found that drawing this was probably the most representational corner, so I'll trim that corner out. Blend curve. And come in here and change this. Now what I'm seeing is that's pretty good this way, but it's actually a little undershot all the way around. So mirror that around. And join this. And then I'll just do a non-uniform scale. Zero is the point of origin. X-axis, remember Rhino for scale is always asking for where it is now, then where you want it to be. So that records for Rhino where that curve is at now, what it looks like now. And the second click will tell it how I want it to look. And I think it may be a little too heavy in width, so I'll take it down just a little bit. And then Z-axis, no change. And I'm going to go ahead now and explode this out, and I'm going to take out this one and do it again. With a blend curve. And sketching, this is how this works. I may change it several times until I like what I have. Yeah, I think that's fine. Window selection. Join it together. Put it on the top view layer. And there's the outline and the inset. Now I want to establish this center line, center groove, through point both sides. Check it. Looks good. I'm going to repeat the command just to see what that was. That's at 0.1724. Okay. I'm going to redo it at 0.1725 because it's an easier number for me to duplicate here. And actually that looks a little narrow. Do that again. Looking top and bottom. See, that's 0.3. That is too far. What does 0.2 look like? Not bad. So, offset that 0.2. Going to have the same situation over here. So, offset through point. Catch that edge, and this one I'll offset double what the last one was. 0.4. That looks good. I can do the same thing through offset, or I can just mirror this over. Either solution is fine. I'm going to need to have an indicator for where the ends of these, like thumb tabs, end. Come to through the point both sides. That looks good. And a thickness. That looks good. Fill at the corners. And use this to trim out. This, and use these to trim out the center here. I need to draw a circular form for the end here. Easiest way to do that is circle diameter and snap. And then move it into position. And enter. I can use intersect snap to grab here and here. Mirror it over with history. Because this is a little short and round for what this actually is. This is a little softer, longer profile. So I'm going to use a non-uniform scale. Origin point, the part I don't want to move, right here at the end of the circle. Oh, that gave me a 3D scale. And I want to stretch this out a little bit. Again, I don't want any change in this direction, so I'll type in 1 and type in 1 for Z. Done. And actually, since history was involved, I can just trim off one side, and the other side will update, like so. Fillet curve to tidy up the ends. And that's done. Join those together. Join those together. Trim. And trim. And then grab these two elements and trim out the middle, finishing the top view of my ring. If I turn off that dark brown layer, I can see the finished drawing without the picture frame behind it. Just like so. Okay, so I've drawn the top view of the ring. Now we need to draw the front. And draw. Actually, I will continue the center line down. Turn on the construction point for it. Grab that point. That C point, a control point, I should say. Pull it straight down. Turn off the points. And Control D, put that on the light blue layer. For front and offset through point, both sides. Catch the end there. Okay, bring back my image. To estimate these thicknesses that I'm seeing here. Might be helpful to make that a little more opaque. Going to have to unlock that layer in order to select the geometry. Make that a little easier to see. It looks pretty thin. Offset through sides, both sides through point. And rubber band this in until it looks about right. And both sides, pull it straight out. That'll give me the center of my front view. Circle center radius, intersect to intersect. And actually, I think that's a little too close to my top view. I'm going to move all that down a grid line. Turn off grid. There. There, turn back off, turn back on. Object snaps. Alright, so I have that. I want to have a feeling for how thin it is at the bottom here. Offset through point. Looks pretty thin. Gonna say something like that. So I would like that to come out to this thickness. A nice visual guide when you're going to scale like that is to come up here, do a straight line, that goes through where you want the origin of the scale to be, the part you don't want to move. I don't want this to change. Through the part where you're going to pick up or you're going to use your object snap, the current width, and then out to where you want it to go, the final width. This straight line allows you to have something to snap to when you scale. There. Okay, I'm going to look at that. And then I'm going to estimate the thickness on top. I'm looking here, I'm looking here. That looks good. Okay, this is actually looking a little bit thin to me now. So, change my mind a little bit. I'm going to scale that around the center here a little bit, like that. This bottom is maybe a little thick now. Move that up with Shift key. Yeah, that looks better to me. I'm going to use an extend by arc to point to trim off this top line. But this top line, actually, I want it to be an arc. So I'll establish that arc next. Fillet curve. I want to rebuild this into an arc. Right now it's a straight line with first degree curvature in 2 points. I'm going to make it second degree curvature in 3 points to make it into an arc. I'm going to turn on the edit points, F12. Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. Okay. I thought I had rectified that. Okay, so in the meantime, go to Curve Tabs, go to Control Point button here, pop it out, and hit on Edit Points on. That'll work too. Grab the 2 outer edit points, M-Enter for move, Shift key to move straight down. I think something like that is good to duplicate this soft arc that I think is here. Tidy up. Now, so I want this because I can see here that this actually tapers inward. It's a little concerning because you don't see that in the top view. You should see a little bit of thickness of the shank, and we don't. But that's okay. I know it's there. I can see it in the other views. So it's just a trick of the camera. I want to cut this circle off at its quadrant. To do that, I'm going to have to trim it. So I'm going to use center snap. Touch the outside of the circle I want to split. This one. Both sides, Option, Shift key. Good. I'm going to split this using that curve. And I'm going to extend by arc to point. Till I see something that reminds me of what I'm seeing in those drawings. I think that's good. Whenever you do an extend curve, you get a poly curve and explode to get the 2 single curves out. And mirror over. I'm going to fill it to tidy up. I can now lose that. And I can, actually I'll hang on to those for a minute. Yeah, go ahead and join this together. Problem is now this doesn't really correspond perfectly with my top view. Go ahead and turn on control points for these 2 construction curves. F10, grab the control points, pull them up. Escape twice to turn off the control points, or F11. I'm going to offset the center line, through point both sides, catch this end of the arc top. This is how big my top view has to be. So, grab my entire top view, and actually this curve is no longer necessary. And transform scale, 3D. Start at 0 for this view, because 0 is in the middle. And I will come up here, use intersect snap. Grab there, hold the shift key down, come in, and snap to intersect there. This now reflects that top view. To create a back up portion to show the shoulder, it's going to be inaccurate, but it'll do for indication purposes. I'll copy and paste this in, and non-uniform scale. That outline, starting from 0, same thing, shift key, intersect, intersect, nothing here, so 1, nothing there, so 1. And that's done. That center line is no longer useful, but the one that demarcates the center of this outer curve is still nice to have. So I'll keep it. I want to bring these views into relationship with each other now, so I'm going to grab my front view. I'm going to M-enter. I'm going to move it from the center snap. It's important. I don't want this intersection. I want the center of the ring bore. Move that to 0. Activate right C-plane so that I can rotate it up into what will end up being a front C-plane orientation. I want that to be here. So, transform, rotate. Center of rotation, the place you don't want to move, 0, the ring bore. You don't want to change that. And then shift key for where the geometry is now, which is here. Rotate upward with another shift key, ortho, and click to put it where you want it to be, in a front C-plane orientation. Okay. So we have that. We now have a top view and a front view ready to go. The last thing I want to do is to make a basic box for what my right view is going to be. Activate my right C-plane. Get a fresh layer going and intersect snap. Off the top of the front view, both sides, shift, boom. Off the bottom of the front view, both sides, shift, done. Off the end here, where these two outlines meet, both sides, shift up, mirror across, and fill it. And that will function as a side view for now. That's enough. Back to the native top C-plane. And that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching. The next video will take us into the maquetting of this ring.